Hey up. So we've had British cannibals, Aussie vampires. I think it's time for American zombies. We're taking a look at The Stink of Flesh. This is a 2005 direct-to-video comedy sexploitation horror film directed by Scott Phillips, who looks like he hasn't done too much. He looks like he's mainly a writer, and his most well-received work being a film called Drive, not the Nicholas Winding Refn film. The film stars a few people, somebody called Curly Tulapoyawa, I had to look at that and I probably got that name wrong, so I do apologise, who is mostly a stunt person, and we also get Kirsten Hansen, who appeared in one episode of Breaking Bad. The rest of them haven't really done much outside of a few poorly received direct-to-video horrors. Probably not really worth mentioning. So this claims to be a comedy horror. It's not a great sign because most of the Millennium Trash films we've watched can't even get horror right, let alone throwing comedy into the mix. Also, this DVD, it smells really weird, and I don't like being near it. Maybe it's the stink of flesh, perhaps. Who knows? Let's have a look anyway.
We were trying to get out of town and we ran out of gas and those things came from nowhere.
That's what happens when you go for a Sunday drive in a world full of flesh-eating corpses.
Brought you a Puerto Rican.
Titlacuas no cuitlacoyo, ni mexica.
During a zombie apocalypse, we follow Matul, a guy who's pretty good at fighting. One day though, he's kidnapped by a couple called Nathan and Dexy and brought to their house that's also occupied by Dexy's sister Sassy and Sassy's conjoined twin thing Dorothy. Basically, the couple have kidnapped Matul because they're in an open relationship and they need somebody else to jump into bed with them. So, all's going right for the throuple for a while until 3 soldiers arrive. There's a lot going on here and I was way more entertained than I was expecting to be. Don't get me wrong, it's not a good film necessarily, but there's plenty of stuff going on, plenty of weird things happening, and it maintains a relatively interesting pace. I was expecting way worse from this.
Fuck yeah.
Hey! The thing on her side, Dorothy, I mean, it's kind of disturbingly sexy.
Dude, you're disturbingly weird.
The acting can be pretty amateur most of the time. Matul is super cringy, thinks he's really cool. And I have no idea what Sassy's actor thought that she was doing. I don't know what she was going for with that. Most of the characters are kind of really unlikable as well, especially Nathan and Dexy. The gore isn't too bad, to be honest. It's definitely here, and we get plenty of zombies eating people and blood and stuff like that. It's better than I was expecting it to be honest. The sleaze factor is also here. A lot of implied stuff though, I thought there'd be a little more than there was. We do get to see a dude banging a zombie though. The effects aren't too bad. I especially liked Dorothy, who was just like some poorly made puppet thing. It was sort of charmingly cheap. I quite liked it. The zombies are a bit of a letdown though. It's a lot of blue face paint. Lazy. We've seen it before. They like to do that in cheap films, just a bit of blue face paint, and I don't know, a bit boring really, isn't it? The film is competently put together. It's not distractingly badly made or anything like that. There's a lot of close-ups which can be a little uncomfortable, but it works for the tone. The one location works quite well too. It makes it quite self-contained, doesn't try and do anything too grand, which works in its favour, I'd say. The music, there's a lot of songs in this, and they're not too bad. They fit quite well, but the score can get a little irritating here and there. So this is definitely something that fits into the Millennium Trash category, and the main reason for that, I'd say, is characters like Matul. These characters who, they've got one-liners and they fight all the time and they're like weirdly good at fighting, but the way it's shot and put together, it comes across more as pathetic and funny than anything. Like that one kid at school who thought he was like really cool and wanted to be called something like Snake or something like that, and they'd like pretend to do fighting, like it's that sort of vibe. And then you add on the sort of clearly digital look of it all. Clearly it's shot on digital, and yeah, it's very of its era, I'd say. It is lacking in a few Millennium Trash aspects though, things like the editing and the filters and stuff like that. On the other hand though, you've got zombies as well, which is a very early 2000s just topic in general. They were so popular in the early 2000s, weren't they, zombies? So this is marketed as a black comedy. Now for me, unfortunately, I didn't really find it funny at all. Obviously comedy's quite subjective. It might just be me that it didn't work for. You might find it pretty funny. Yeah, didn't really work for me, unfortunately. I found myself laughing every now and then, but not with it. I was more laughing at it. Unless that's what it was going for, who knows? It's difficult to tell with this sort of thing. But I don't feel like I was laughing at it for the right reasons anyway. Now, before we move on, there's something else hanging around on this disc.
What the fuck is that? My baby!
Your name.
Your hand's all sweaty.
So we get some short films here. First off, we get Rainville, The Early Years. Now this is like a short supplementary film that coincides with a character who's in the first section of the main feature. We basically see this guy's life before the zombie apocalypse, and his whole shtick is that he's a grumpy old man. That's about it, really. It's only 2 and a bit minutes, but it's nothing really worth your time, I'd say. It's sort of just inoffensive. Nothing, really. I didn't really get anything from it. It's not that well put together either, really. Then we get 2 more short films, and these are stitched together. So these are 2 early shorts directed by Phillips and a guy called John Howard. And they are Super 8 films with no sound, so Phillips does some audio commentary over them. First up we get Replica, which is a film about clones killing each other. Then we get a film called Overkill, which is about 2 guys trying to kill each other. These come in at about 15 minutes, and they're fine, charming, sweet, I guess. There's some nice shots here and there, and there's some decent use of blood, but they're quite amateur in how they're made, I guess. Now the commentary with Phillips, though, is very of its time, joking around about trying to get laid and describing things as gay in a derogatory term. I don't know, it reminds me of being back at school, not in a good way either, really. So yeah, a couple of short films. They're nothing really worth your time, nothing to shout about. They're not even listed anywhere on like Letterboxd or IMDb or anything like that. But hey, it's something else on the disc at the very least.
Wow, they're out there playing in the street with their balls. Cat food. cat food. It's always cat food.
Look at the acne on my face, man. It's like every time I would go back to Kentucky to visit my family, I'd get this terrible acne. Plus, I was side of the gun you can't see. Here it goes. Look at that. That's pretty cool.
Okay, time for the print. It's not too bad, to be honest. It's fine. It's in 4x3, which is never ideal. And it can get a little pixelated here and there, but honestly I didn't really notice any major problems either with visual or audio. All pretty good, to be honest. And on the disc we get obviously the feature and the 3 short films, and then we get the usual stuff, chapter select, 2 trailers for this film and some Hard Gore trailers. But on top of that we also get 2 commentaries, so one with the director and one with the cast and crew. We get a 45-minute long behind the scenes documentary. We get a 10-minute long featurette on the premiere of the film. We get a 7-minute long blooper reel. I need to check because there's a lot here. We get a text interview with Phillips, an image gallery, and then the entire screenplay as a PDF if you put this disc in your computer. That's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff on this disc, to be honest. That might be the most we've seen yet in this whole collection. So, not bad going, really. Okay, let's take a look at this case then. It's not that awful, to be honest. The front image is fine, quite striking, I guess. Saying it's better than Shaun of the Dead and 28 Days Later is ridiculous, though. It was never going to be, and it really isn't. The screenshots on the back look super cheap, but all the info seems correct. Runtime's right, and there's no typos, so I can't really complain, really. Not bad at all. Overall, then, this is a pretty flawed film, I'd say. It's not the most competently put together, it's cheap in some areas, but it's pretty weird and it has a lot of stuff going off, and then you chuck in the gore on top of that, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't entertained while watching this. This might be a good movie night film, friends and alcohol. This is definitely not sober solo watching, I can assure you on that one. Yeah, drink some friends, you might get something out of it. As far as releases go, if you're in the market, this one's pretty good, to be honest. Clear print, plenty of special features. There's also a Shriek Collection version, which there always bloody is, and it's probably identical to this. Then there's a 3D version. I had no idea this had a 3D release. Don't know what that'd be like. I can't imagine it being good anyway. Then there's a German import, which I don't know why you'd put the extra money down unless the print is like amazing or something, I don't know. And then there's a Blu-ray that I found on eBay, but it doesn't look legit to me. I think you'd be getting a BDR if you got that version. But I don't know, I might be wrong there. It might be just some like independent label that I don't know of. Who knows? Let me know if you know. So, not the worst, not the best, definitely entertaining. Trash, I'd call it. Entertaining trash, this episode. Next episode, though, we're actually going to be watching something that I've seen before, and something that's got people, like names, involved in it, so we might be getting something that's a little better than the recent stuff we've been watching. Next episode, we're going to be checking out old Yellow Spine over here. Intruder.